30-year-old VKK man dies after alleged police shooting. Government ends Pelican Paradise Resort deal and takes back land while investor disputes decision. Timor-Leste battles HIV stigma as cases continue to rise. Farmers forced to sell off stock as drought conditions worsen in southern Queensland, Australia. Hello, welcome back to RTTL World News. I'm Jerry Madeira. A young man has died after allegedly being shot by a national police officer in VKK. 30-year-old Silvano Gomez was transported from VKK to Delhi's National Hospital early this week, where he died on Monday. As investigations into the alleged shooting continue, questions are being raised over PNTL's recruitment and weapons training processes. A victim's family calling for justice. 30-year-old Silvano Gomez was allegedly shot by a Timor-Leste national police officer in VKK last Saturday.
He was taken to VKK hospital, but because of his condition, he was immediately evacuated to Giri Valadares National Hospital, Delhi for intensive treatment. Because he suffered severe injuries, he lost his life.
The National Hospital completed an autopsy on Mr. Gomez, with a report expected to be submitted to the public prosecutor in the coming days.
The autopsy focused only on the shooting case because the deceased had no prior illness or injury. The results of the autopsy have not been released because it is still being finalized. It takes 3 to 5 days to finalize and deliver to the public prosecutor.
Following the alleged fatal shooting, the victim's family called for justice and stronger training within the police force.
VKK municipality needs to strengthen knowledge, particularly in transit law and the use of weapons. Many police officers do not understand the law because before, police were not recruited based on merit, so their thinking can be limited, and they do not know how to use weapons according to rules. Finally, it has destroyed people's lives.
We ask all entities to follow this process to the end so we can know the result through a fair and correct decisions. And we demand that this process must be fast.
President Jose Ramos Horta condemned the incident and called for the suspect to face justice.
The PNTL Commander-in-Chief knows what to do. First, he must conduct a thorough investigation. Why do people with character like this work with transit services? Second, he must remove him from PNTL to attend trial and give him a heavy sentence in prison because these actions tarnish PNTL's name.
This is the second alleged police shooting in VKK municipality in 3 years after Jennifer da Silva was shot in the leg by a PNTL officer in 2023. Investigations are ongoing. Jerry Madeira, RTTL World News. Last week, the Timor-Leste government approved a resolution to terminate an agreement with Pelican Paradise Group and reclaim the land slated for a 5-star resort development. The move comes 5 months after the government publicly announced plans to pull out of the agreement, claiming Pelican Paradise Group failed to fulfill its obligations. The Singaporean investor disagreed with the government's resolution and committed to solving the matter.
After years of delays, a $700 million 5-star resort project appears to have come to an end. The government approved a resolution to reclaim the 556-hectare block of land between Dili and Likisa last week, and terminated a special investment agreement signed by both parties in 2022 due to a lack of activity on the site.
We did not make any unilateral decision because we communicated with them. We told them that we are very grateful for their interest to invest and they had the opportunity, but until 2026 they have not done anything. So we have an obligation to evaluate the project. They told us they can't continue, so we made the decision.
In March, the government publicly announced plans to call off the Pelican Paradise project.
We had notified them and they made their argument or justification, but we maintained that since 2008 and 2022 until now, there has been no development activities. They told us why there was no construction work on the site, and we have reason to review the investment contract.
On Thursday, Pelican Paradise Group released a statement strongly disagreeing with the government's resolution, stating a contractual relationship cannot simply be reduced to a government decision concerning one party's performance while disregarding the obligations undertaken by the other. Pelican Paradise Group claimed the project had significant delays because the Timorese government did not provide basic facilities for the group to move forward with the project. Under the Special Investment Agreement, the Timorese government needed to provide water, electricity, and compensate the residents living on the site. The company said it required 250,000 to 300,000 liters of water and 1 megawatt of electricity per day for construction. RTTL World News visited the site in April and found no signs of water or power. The Singaporean investor claims to have spent approximately $15 million on the project and reaffirmed its commitment to resolving the matter. Under the Special Investment Agreement, any disputes are to be referred to and resolved by the Singapore International Arbitration Centre. The Timorese government stood by its decision to terminate the agreement.
As a state, we are ready once they take this to a judicial process. I think we can have arbitration. We are ready to face the consequences of annulling the contract unilaterally,
but remains open to new deals.
If they are interested in having a new contractor relationship, we can look for new land somewhere else for them.
It remains unclear whether the dispute will be taken to the arbitration, as both parties remain open for discussion. Pauline Quintan, Judas Magno, RTTL World News.
Timor-Leste is seeing an increase in HIV infections despite its efforts to contain the spread of the disease. Last year, Timor-Leste registered 348 new cases of HIV, while in the last 6 months alone, the nation already reported over 150 new cases. Health authorities and advocates warn thousands are at risk as stigma and discrimination leave hundreds of HIV patients untreated.
It's a quiet Monday morning at the Rttl.Ep Clinic Antiretroviral Therapy Center, where health workers are waiting for patients to pick up their HIV medication.
In the last 6 months, we detected 19 cases. So, at the moment, we have 349 patients on active treatment.
The Rttl Clinic in the heart of Dili is one of 16 clinics across the country that provides antiretroviral therapy for HIV patients.
The main challenge that we have here is the lack of reagents or HIV test kits, because the number of people who come here for testing is higher than the reagents supplied by the government.
Every month, the clinic receives 300 test kits from the Ministry of Health, but the clinic director says they've seen more than 400 people coming for the test. Since Timor-Leste reported its first HIV case in 2003, testing clinics have expanded nationwide, with antiretroviral treatment now available at regional hospitals. In 2023, the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization introduced HIV self-testing and pre-exposure prophylaxis for high-risk groups. Despite expanded screenings, advocates say ongoing challenges around social stigma have kept many people living with HIV away from treatment.
Stigma and discrimination have kept people who were tested positive from returning to seek life-saving treatment. Some don't even tell their own partners.
The young nation has registered more than 2,000 cases of HIV/AIDS, including 400 deaths. According to the People Living with HIV Stigma Index 2024, almost 18% of HIV patients have experienced at least one form of stigma or discrimination.
We need to reinforce and improve our counseling services to gain people's trust, to seek treatment, because some of the counseling services that we have seem to judge and ask questions that make the patients uncomfortable.
While over 80% of people living with HIV experience self-stigma, including loss of hope, shame, and guilt.
We do psychosocial interventions to help patients accept realities and improve the counseling system to keep people coming for treatment.
Over 300 people living with HIV do not get medical treatment after they are diagnosed. Health authorities note that traditional cultural beliefs and reliance on local healers also discourage many HIV patients from seeking clinical care.
In our local context, deep-rooted cultural beliefs mean that even after entering clinical treatment, some patients drop out and turn to traditional healing and herbal remedies.
Advocate and health authorities said public awareness campaigns on HIV are crucial to stop discrimination and encourage people living with HIV to seek medical treatment.
We need to share information that does not scare and confuse people. We need to have a clear campaign on how HIV is transmitted, because it can be passed from mother to child, not just through sexual intercourse.
Our level of understanding and knowledge about HIV is still very limited. Despite our campaign effort, advocacy, and sharing of information, it takes time for people to understand, especially about ending stigma and discrimination.
Out of 152 new patients detected this year, 22 of them are not yet on antiretroviral treatment. As the fight continues, replacing fear with understanding remains key to getting more people into life-saving treatment. Pauline Quintown, Judas Magno, RTTL World News.
The Greater Sunrise gas field remain a key issue for Timor-Leste, with the project seen as vital to the country's long-term economic future. As negotiations between Australia and Timor-Leste continue, Australian Ambassador to Timor-Leste Caitlin Wilson discusses the project progress, the challenges ahead, and how Australia and Timor-Leste can work together to deliver benefits for both countries.
How would you describe the current status of the Greater Sunrise project?
This is a really hard and big technical project. Our key ambition for Greater Sunrise is to see it developed as soon as possible, and particularly for the benefits of Timor-Leste's economy and employment. The status in a bit more detail involves two areas that need to be developed. So there is a legal, regulatory and financial framework that sits alongside the Maritime Boundary Treaty. Those frameworks are under negotiation. They are very technical, very detailed. They involve both the two states, being Timor-Leste and Australia, and then certain elements need to be agreed with the joint venture. So that's a technical set of negotiations. This has been important for a few years to resolve. They have a number of elements. We've committed, and at a very high level, including through our Prime Minister, to expediting those negotiations and trying to finalise those as soon as is feasibly possible. There's another delegation from Timor-Leste in Australia this week, actually. So they will continue, and that's a key part of finalising the framework. The other area that is critical to the project is finalising a development concept. The development concept is, where is the oil and gas project developed? Australia, and under our current government, is what we call concept neutral. So we have no individual view about where Greater Sunrise should be developed. It's a matter for the commercial partners.
What are the main challenges that still need to be resolved before projects move forward?
The challenge is about making sure that all the legal, the agreements, the detailed technical assessments are all aligned and signed off ahead. So it's a challenge in the sense that it's a lot of detail and it's complex. It's not what I would call impossible. It's just that it often takes longer than we all think, because there is quite a lot to work through, and we all have our own jurisdictions and areas that we think needs to be preserved.
How important is Greater Sunrise to Timor-Leste's long-term economic future?
We know that, I think from the Australian government point of view, we absolutely realise the importance of major resource projects, and particularly this is a very unique resource project, given its location, and it has a certain size. It's bigger than Bayu Undun was. And it is a potential source of important income and employment for Timor-Leste. So we certainly recognise that. I would leave it to the government of Timor-Leste as part of, we certainly recognise and appreciate the ambition and how important it is.
How can Australia and Timor-Leste continue working together to ensure the project delivers mutual benefit?
So I think with a project like this, it's both making sure, which we are, that we have the right people and the right human resources applied to working through all the steps that are required to take the project forward. So that's really important, and that's what we're doing at the moment. It's also about continuing our strong communication, trust. These types of projects are complex, so we really need to keep talking and communicating, working together. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm really proud of over the last 3 years since I've been here. There have been periods where progress on Greater Sunrise has slowed down or stopped.
What would you say to Timorese citizens who are eager to see tangible progress on Greater Sunrise?
So I think what I would say is it's important to think about how you can contribute to the future, and how major projects can also contribute. These types of projects are really big and complex, and they can take a bit longer than we all expect. We have had examples, not just in the region, but in Australia, of major investment projects, including financed by private sector and by government, where the work up front doesn't happen properly. Project starts, a lot of money is spent, and then it either is really slow or it doesn't produce the results because the feasibility and the preparatory work hasn't been done. That is a really, really big learning for Australia and around the region. Project preparation, this is a very technical part of any major project. Project preparation makes a real difference. If you do not invest both time and resources in the preparation, it can really result in a project that doesn't do what you want.
We really appreciate for your time being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In international news, farmers in southern Queensland are selling off stock as drought takes hold in the region. The worsening conditions are adding to concerns about the approaching bushfire season.
As the paddocks dry up, so too farmers' livelihoods.
As you can see, the pastures are very depleted. It's been a long time now without rain.
Greg Finlay is a major hay producer in southern Queensland. But all 5 of his sheds are empty.
We're all out of hay and have been for a long time. But this is the first time we've had this empty in my career. Even in the 2019-20 drought, we had some hay somewhere.
4 southern Queensland councils were either fully or partly drought declared in July, forcing some farmers to sell off their cattle because they can't afford to keep them fed and watered.
The last drought, the last big drought, there was only 30% of the livestock left in the region at the end of that big drought.
It's not just farmers who are struggling. This wildlife rehab centre has had double the number of kangaroos coming into care.
We don't see these numbers. When there's no drought, we don't see this kind of numbers.
With no hay about, they're sending backpackers to pick dry grass by hand.
Each week it's getting more and more difficult, and we're spending more and more money on buying food and also fuel to go out and do the rescues.
The dry conditions across much of southern Queensland have residents bracing for the upcoming bushfire season. To prepare, volunteer firefighters have already begun conducting hazard reduction burns. No rest for these recent retirees.
We've been doing it for too long now to
Just
stop.
helping the community, I suppose.
Preventable falls are the country's leading cause of injury, requiring hospitalization, and are expected to become more common as the population ages. Some older Australians are taking matters into their own hands, taking part in exercise programs aimed at keeping them healthier, happier, and upright.
Since Sandra Franklin's husband died 2 years ago, she's been relying on herself for pretty much everything.
I did find it very hard at the beginning, but then I sat down and had a good talk to myself and said, no, get up and do it. The only way you can do it is by keeping active.
From carrying the groceries into her home.
You can't go and ask the shopper to put one thing in a bag and carry that at home. You need to use your muscles.
To keeping up with loved ones.
I can lift my 3-year-old granddaughter and perhaps even my 7-year-old. He's a bit heavier, but I do it.
Staying strong and mobile is a top priority, so as part of the 79-year-old's busy schedule, she attends a weekly free exercise class.
We're here to increase their fitness, their confidence, their balance, coordination.
Ages and abilities vary, but participants share a common goal.
Just trying to keep fit and get the body moving, some parts weren't moving.
I come along for the exercise and the social outing, and it keeps you fit.
This class isn't just about the exercise, it's also promoting community and social connections. But with falls the leading cause of injury requiring a hospital admission, experts say this kind of program is vital.
All falls prevention work that gets done in the community reduces the demand on our emergency departments.
We should really be taking steps in middle age to prevent frailty in old age. But there's no age or frailty status at which it's too late to intervene.
Proof that age is no barrier to exercise.
And now, tomorrow's weather. In Dili, mostly sunny and pleasant, with a top temperature of 32 and a low of 20 degrees. Partly sunny in Bokal, with an afternoon shower in a spot. Temperatures ranging between 29 and 17 degrees. Sunny to partly cloudy in Lotem, with a high of 28 and a low of 19 degrees. In Bogoraro, sunshine and some clouds with a brief shower or 2 in the afternoon. A top temperature of 28 and a low of 14. And more sunshine than clouds in Laileo, temperatures ranging between 26 and 12. Breezy at times in the morning in Kupan, otherwise plenty of sunshine, a high of 32 and a low of 21. In Bali, clear and sunny, with temperatures ranging between 35 and 18. Partly sunny in Jakarta with a couple of afternoon showers, a top of 33 and a low of 23. Very humid with a blanket of clouds in Seoul, a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, a high of 28 and a low of 23 degrees. Plenty of sunshine in Darwin, with temperatures ranging between 33 and 21 degrees. In Sydney, mostly cloudy with some rain in the afternoon, a high of 21 and a low of 12 degrees. Mostly sunny and pleasant in Lisbon, temperatures ranging between 26 and 17 degrees. In London, partly cloudy with a couple of showers in the afternoon, a top temperature of 20 and a low of 11. And in Belfast, morning shower in places, otherwise partly sunny, a top temperature of 17 and a low of 9 degrees. Thanks for joining us again on the program. RTTL World News will be back with more stories on Sunday. Bye for now.